Welcome back. I'm Luna Celestine, and if you're hearing these words, trust that it is no coincidence you've arrived here today. There are moments in life that strike like quiet lightning, without noise, without warning, yet they leave an imprint deep within the heart. And today, Leo, you are standing at one of those sacred thresholds, a moment where the light begins to return after long days of silent endurance. After walking through heartbreak and selfless sacrifice, you are the sign of a blazing heart, of unyielding pride and of loyalty that asks for nothing in return. But even the strongest souls have broken before, have given too much, loved so deeply they lost parts of themselves. And perhaps you too have asked, does justice truly exist? Do those who cause pain ever face the shadows they cast? Today, I'm here to tell you, with all the love and reverence your journey deserves, that karma never forgets. Truth always finds its way. Those who once hurt you are now being called by the universe to face their own darkness. And you, Leo, are being lifted into a new chapter, one where you no longer need to fight to be loved, or prove your worth to be seen. This new chapter is called the sacred rebirth of the soul, and it begins in this very moment. Are you ready? If even one line just now stirred something inside your heart, then stay, because this video, this journey, was made for you. Pain and betrayal, the silent journey of a Leo heart. Leo, you are the emblem of the sun. Radiant, warm, loyal beyond reason. But what the world often forgets is that even the brightest light can dim when the heart behind it has been broken too many times. You have loved with courage, with every noble part of yourself. You gave your trust like a sacred offering. You sacrificed as if love were your divine calling, and you forgave again and again simply because you believed in the goodness within others. And yet what you received in return was silence, averted eyes, vanishing promises, the ache of being replaced, forgotten, seen through as if you were never there at all. This wasn't just the pain of a broken relationship. It was a betrayal of the most sacred parts of you, the part that believed, that hoped, that loved without asking for anything in return. How many times did you smile while you were quietly breaking inside? How many times were you the strong one when you were the one who needed holding? How many times did you embrace someone else's sorrow while your own heart bled in the dark? And how many nights passed where no one saw the depth of the sigh in your chest? These are the moments no one noticed, no one asked about, and yet you carried on, because that's how a Leo loves, with greatness. But dear Leo, I want you to know, the universe has not looked away. Not a single tear you shed was wasted. Not a single sleepless night went unseen. Not one act of love, offered in sincerity, has been forgotten. The universe witnessed it all. And though it moves slowly and silently, justice is being woven on your behalf, not to retaliate, but to lift you and guide you to a space worthy of the light you carry within. That pain, it was never your ending. It was the fire that reforged your heart. A heart now wiser, a heart that still knows how to love, but no longer forgets itself in the process. A soul that still gives, but now understands where to draw the line, and from that pain something sacred has already begun. Rebirth. Leo, your soul burns with fire, fierce, radiant, loyal to the very end, but even the most luminous flame must at some point pass through shadow before it is born anew. And in your journey there is a sacred symbol that emerges quietly, almost imperceptibly, yet with undeniable power, the black butterfly. To most, black may signify mourning or endings, but to you, Leo, a sign ruled by the heart, by destiny, by legacy, this butterfly is no omen of doom. It is a divine messenger, a gentle yet unmistakable sign from the unseen realms that transformation is not only near, it is already unfolding within you. Perhaps it first arrived in a dream, wings cloaked in darkness, gliding not in fear but with purpose, appearing in the hour when your spirit felt most vulnerable. You may have awakened with tears or with a strange heaviness in your chest, not from sadness, but from the gravity of something sacred. That presence was no illusion, a message from those who have walked before you, ancestors, foremothers, spiritual guardians, cloaked in the feminine essence of wisdom, protection, and unconditional love. They are the grandmothers who whispered prayers into the soil, the mothers who gave more than they could speak, the women whose names you may never know, but whose spirits encircle you in moments of great change. The black butterfly is their voice, silent but resonant, and it comes when your soul is ready to release what you've held for too long, the roles you've outgrown, the wounds you've masked with pride, the weight of being strong for others while no one noticed your own quiet unraveling. It does not come to condemn, but to comfort. It invites you not to collapse, but to surrender, to finally allow the old armor to fall away. Because, Leo, it is not weakness to let go, it is wisdom. It is bravery of the highest order to release the people, stories, and expectations that no longer honor your light. This rebirth will not come with applause. It will not come with grand announcements. Like the black butterfly itself, it will move through you silently, in the way you begin to say no with grace, in the way you start to choose rest without guilt, in the way you stop seeking validation and begin seeing yourself as enough, exactly as you are. This is how your new self is born, not through fire, but through stillness, not through performance, but through truth. Leo, you were never meant to stay in the cage of past pain, that heartbreak, that betrayal. It was never the end of your story, it was the cocoon. And what breaks now is not your spirit, it's the shell that once kept it bound. The black butterfly arrives to tell you that what you thought was the end was merely a pause. And from that stillness, a deeper, wiser, more luminous version of you is now taking flight, healing and choosing yourself, the quiet return of the Leo heart. Leo, you were born with a fire that could warm the coldest soul, but you were not born to burn yourself out for the sake of others. And there comes a sacred moment, often after many nights of silence, many days of carrying burdens too heavy for one heart, when something deep within you rises and whispers, "I choose myself." That moment, though quiet, is seismic. It is not dramatic, it is not angry, it is powerful because it is true, and from that truth, your light begins to return. You see, healing is not always a grand revelation. It is not a sudden transformation under moonlight or a miracle that washes away years of pain. Healing is often gentle, even invisible, and it begins with the smallest, bravest choices. The choice to go to bed early when your body is tired, rather than pushing yourself to be everything for everyone. The choice to stop answering messages that drain you. The choice to walk away, not with resentment, but with peace. From relationships that no longer hold space for your love to grow. As a Leo, your loyalty runs so deep that you sometimes stay too long. You hold on to people, places, and roles that no longer feed your soul simply because your heart remembers the good that once was. But there is a difference between faith and self-abandonment, and the most sacred kind of courage you can embody now is to honor your own needs without shame. To say, "I deserve rest. I deserve joy. I deserve to stop performing and start being." Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is sacred reclamation. It is the slow rebuilding of a self that has been scattered across too many expectations, too many heartbreaks, too many sacrifices made in silence. It is putting your hand on your heart and saying, "You matter too," even when the world has forgotten to say it back. And as you do, something extraordinary happens. You begin to realign, not with noise, not with force, but with clarity. You stop chasing love and begin magnetizing it. You stop trying to prove your worth and begin to feel it echo in every breath you take. You begin to attract people and opportunities that see you, not for what you give, but for who you are. Leo, you are the heart of the zodiac. Generous, bold, endlessly radiant, but even the heart needs a rhythm of its own. This is your moment to slow down, to return to yourself, to remember that your light does not need anyone's permission to shine. The rebirth you are stepping into is not made of miracles outside of you. It is being built, moment by moment, in the gentle daily choices to honor your soul. So breathe, lay down the armor, let your fire warm you for once, because when you choose yourself, you are not just healing, you are coming home. True reward, Leo, is not found in the quick victories or the glittering illusions of wealth that fade as fast as they appear. The kind of abundance coming toward you now is deeper, quieter, and far more lasting, because it is not born from luck, but from transformation. It is the reward of a soul that has endured heartbreak and still chosen to love, of a spirit that has been tested in fire and emerged not bitter, but more whole. This is not about what you can hold in your hands. This is about what you can finally hold in your heart without fear. For so long, Leo, you gave your time, your energy, your light, and much of it seemed to vanish into people or situations that could not return it. You loved without asking for repayment, showed up without needing recognition, and carried others even when your own legs were trembling. And maybe, at times, you wondered if the universe was even watching, if the goodness you poured into the world would ever come back to you. The answer is yes, but not in the way you once imagined. What is returning to you now is not just financial prosperity, though opportunities may arise, new ventures, stable support, unexpected doors opening at just the right time. But even more than that, what is coming is an internal richness, the peace of waking up and not feeling the need to fight for your place, the calm of being loved, not for your performance, but for your presence, the freedom of surrounding yourself with relationships that uplift rather than deplete, the quiet joy of knowing you no longer need to sacrifice yourself to be accepted. This is the abundance of alignment, the kind that arrives when your inner world finally reflects the truth you've always known deep down, that you are worthy, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. It is the reward of choosing healing over bitterness, softness over spite, dignity over despair, and it comes slowly, gently, like the sunrise after a long night. But when it arrives, it brings everything: stability, clarity, companionship, and above all, sovereignty. Leo, you have walked through fire without losing your heart. You have been broken and still chosen grace. And now the universe responds, not with shallow gifts, but with a life that mirrors the beauty of your soul, a life where love is safe, joy is steady, and your light is not just seen, it is honored. This is what you were always meant to receive, not just survival, but true fulfillment. Not just moments of success, but a life you no longer need to escape from. This is the reward of the lion who refused to be hardened, the lion who chose to heal, and now it is time to receive. If you have ever forgiven someone who never apologized, if you have ever sacrificed in silence while no one noticed, if you have ever placed your hand over your heart and whispered to yourself, "I am still worthy," then this is your moment, Leo. Not a moment of spectacle or applause, but a quiet, sacred return, a convergence of justice and mercy that the universe has been preparing behind the scenes all along. For so long you carried a strength that didn't demand recognition. You endured heartbreak with grace, offered love without conditions, and held space for others even when you were empty. You chose to stay soft when the world hardened around you. You walked through fire and smiled through tears, not because you weren't hurting, but because you believed in something greater than your pain, in the power of love, in the promise of truth, in the quiet knowing that somehow all of it mattered. And it did matter. Even when it felt like no one was watching, even when your soul whispered into what seemed like an endless void, the universe was listening. Karma never forgets. Not the pain you endured, and not the light you gave. But this time, it does not return with vengeance. This time, it returns with restoration. It comes to lift you, not to break you, to illuminate, not to punish. You are not being asked to suffer anymore. You are being asked to receive, to let the light that once felt so distant finally come home to you. The blessings arriving now may not shout from mountaintops, but they will speak in the language your soul understands. The ease in your breath when you no longer have to explain yourself. The steadiness in your heart when you are met with love that doesn't ask you to shrink. The peace that flows in when you realize you no longer need to prove your worth. This is the turning point, Leo, not because the world changed, but because you did. You chose yourself. You chose healing. You chose to keep your heart open, even when it was easier to close. And in doing so, you aligned with something timeless. So if your voice ever trembled with unspoken love, if your spirit ever cracked beneath invisible weight, if your journey has been long and your heart has grown tired, know this: you have not been forgotten. You were never invisible to the divine. This is not the end of your story. This is the moment it becomes whole. The universe is not just returning what you lost, it is returning you to who you truly are. And that, Leo, is the greatest light of all. And so, dear Leo, as this sacred message draws to a close, let me remind you of something your heart has always known. Even in its quietest hours, you were never walking alone. Every tear you've shed in silence, every act of love given without return, every time you stayed true to your light when the world asked you to dim, none of it has been in vain. This journey was never about becoming someone else. It was about returning to the truth of who you've always been beneath the armor: radiant, courageous, deeply feeling, and infinitely worthy. Now, the season of waiting is over. You are no longer here to survive the past. You are here to live the future that was always meant for you. A future built not on struggle, but on alignment. Not on sacrifice, but on sovereignty. And not on seeking, but on attracting what mirrors the strength and beauty of your soul. So as you walk forward from this moment, walk with the knowledge that you don't have to fight for your place in the world anymore. You are the place. You are the home, the warmth, the presence that others will one day seek, not because you give endlessly, but because you now give from a place of fullness. Thank you for sharing this space with me. If this message found you at just the right time, hold it close, and when you're ready, speak it aloud. I choose myself. I choose peace. I choose the light that never left me, only waited for me to return. Until next time, Leo, stay rooted, stay luminous, and never forget, your heart is your crown. Wear it with pride.